Today I'm going to talk about a game called Mars Open. This is a game that's actually on Kickstarter right now, and I normally don't talk about Kickstarter games because I haven't played them yet for the most part. But a few weeks ago, a podcaster, or a guy I know from a podcast called The Draft Mechanic, I'll link to it in the notes below, a guy named Jake, happened to be in St. Louis, and so he asked if I was having a game night that week, and I said, of course, every Wednesday I have a game night. So he came over, and we played games together, and one of the games he brought was Mars Open, because he had a prototype for Kickstarter preview or review, and it was a really nice prototype. Like this, it looked and felt like the final game. If he didn't tell me it was a prototype, I would have thought it was the final game. And we played it and had a lot of fun with it. And today I saw it was up on Kickstarter, so I thought, I'll talk about it today. Why not? Mars Open is a dexterity game for 1 to 4 players where you're flicking a component that I'll show you in a second because it is my favorite mechanism of the game. You're trying to get it into a box and then into a hole in that box. So like the box insert is kind of recessed, and then there's a deeper hole in the middle of that. So you're trying to get it into that hole. And similar to golf, you're trying to get it in with the fewest shots. And we really did have a lot of fun with this game. I've recently really been enjoying another dexterity game that's cooperative, and I really like it because of that cooperative nature, so that if you make a dumb mistake, it kind of hurts everybody, but everyone's in it for you when you when you have a great moment. But we had a lot of great moments in Mars Open because it's really gratifying to hit a hole in one. Like, I'm sure that's the case in real golf too. I've never gotten close to doing that in real golf. But I had maybe 3 holes in one in the 9 holes that we played of Mars Open, and it felt awesome. Even flicks that I thought were going way off could come back, and that's because the component, this is something I cut out today to kind of show you what the component looks like, but if you go to look at the Kickstarter page, the link is also below, you can see what the component looks like. It's a little smaller than this, but it's essentially a square with 2 wings down here and then 2 wings up here. And you flick it typically at one of the corners, and you might flick it at an angle because you might have an obstacle to go around, so you might try to flick it to the right, and this thing spins. It can spin almost like a frisbee. It can curve around things. You can flick it straight up and down, so if you need a little chip shot, you can just chip it like right into the hole. There's a way you can flick it almost down and it'll dart across the room. I don't know how the designer realized that this was such a clever component and that it had so much versatility in terms of how you can flick it and the directions it can take when you flick it. But it's a brilliant component, especially for a dexterity game. To the extent that when we were finished playing the 9 holes that we played, we started just moving around the room and flicking it off objects, trying to get it back to the table. We were actually playing in that long table in the background. You can see there, we were playing at that table, but we were like backing up all around the room, flicking from this other table, flicking from places around the room, flicking from our palms to see if we could get it to go where we wanted it to go. And that, I think, if you do get to play Mars Open, I think is the joy of the game. It's almost creating your own course, like in basketball when you play horse, and you choose whatever crazy shot you want, and then if you make it, other people have to replicate it. That, I think, is the joy of Mars Open, because there's so much versatility in this dexterity component. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm guessing you have not played Mars Open, but if you have a favorite dexterity game, I'd love to hear about what makes it a joyous experience for you to play it. What makes you happy when you play that dexterity game, and why? And if it's a cool component like this, I'd love to hear what's so special about that component. That's my thoughts about Mars Open, my favorite mechanism in the game. And yeah, I'll put the links below in case you want to check it out. Thanks.